All right, today we are going to take a look at the jointer. The jointer has a specific goal of smoothing a rough edge. So we have the rough edge on this board here. You know, we've got this junk over here. Maybe I want to cut a couple strips out of the good section here, but I want to have a good, flat, smooth edge before I take it to the table saw. Right? It's really important that we get a good, smooth edge before we go to the table saw. To make sure we get a good clean cut, a nice safe cut. If we ran this rough edge through there, increases our chance of something bad going on, and it's not going to give us a clean cut. So the jointer, the way it works, there is a drum inside here that has a number of big blades on it, almost like razor blades. So as the piece of wood slides over it, it cuts off just a little bit of the material. Okay, we have some different parts. Over here we have the in-feed table. This is where we start our wood. As it's sliding into the blades, it goes over the blades and then onto our out-feed table where it's going away from the project. We also have our guard, keeping us safe, keeping that area covered, giving us a physical barrier. We don't want our hands anywhere near those cutters, so we want to keep it up there. And we also have the fence here. Okay. The fence helps to keep our board nice and straight up so that we get a nice 90-degree cut along an edge. The way the jointer works is the drum stays about in the same spot, and then we can adjust the height of the in-feed table. If we make it lower, more material is going to get pushed into the blades to cut more material off. We raise it up higher, and less material gets cut off. We generally keep it for just a little bit, about a 1/16 of an inch cut, maybe a little less. So this board here, it's a pretty tall one, so I don't need to use anything fancy. The only thing is we want it to be decently long, at least a foot long. We don't want to run real short pieces through here, as it can fall between the tables. There's a gap between here, and it can get tilt, get kind of sucked in, chew the material away and suck it in. So we don't want that. We always want to make sure we have a longer piece. So if we need to cut something small, we start with a longer piece, clean it up, and then we cut it smaller at the end. So at this piece here, I'm going to start with it up against the fence back here, and I'm going to put some pressure against it so it's nice and tight up against the fence. My fingers are nowhere near the table, but I'm also not at the top, because if I just hold at the top, this piece is going to want to lean out and not give us a good clean cut. So to put it here, keep a little pressure here, and I like to put my thumb over on top, just in case I were to slip or anything, and I always fall, and then I would catch the fence rather than stick my hands in. So I put my thumb on top there, my right hand further back, and I'm going to slide this through. So let's take a look. Remember, see how rough our edge is there? Let's run one pass and see if that's enough. One pass, a lot better, still a little bit. There, let's do 2 passes. All right, 2 passes. That looks pretty good, nice and smooth. Gives us a nice clean edge. All right, so now our smaller pieces here, we have our table leg glue up. Okay, when we glued this up, wiped off glue on one side, left the glue on the other side, because we're going to end up cutting this off the table saw. So this was our rough size, a little bit wider than we needed, but we want to make sure we clean this up. So you can see there's a lot of glue residue on there, and it's just a little bit uneven. So for this one, we got to be a little more careful because we don't have as much wood to hang on to. So I'm going to use a push stick to help guide this one, only because it's a smaller piece. But I'll set it on this in-feed table again. I'm going to use this push stick and lock it in the back of the piece. And I'm going to use my left hand up front here just to put a little pressure on the top and make sure I'm looking at the fence here. I want this piece to ride right up against the fence. So let's try this again, and we'll see if we need 1 or 2 cuts. right, this actually looks pretty good. One cut seemed to do it. I don't see any glue residue on it. I can feel over it, and I don't feel any ridge between the two pieces. So that's good to go. So we just had to smooth one edge up. The other side I don't care about because we're going to use a different machine, the table saw, to cut that. So our jointer graded preparing materials to go to the table saw by giving us one nice smooth straight edge.